This conference will now be recorded.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. If you could take a moment and just be sure that your microphone is muted when you come into the chat room so that we don't get any feedback, because that has been known to happen. Anyway, thank you again for joining us. My name is Julia Koch. I am the Vice President of Advocacy and Outreach for Foreign Language Educators of New Jersey, also known as FLENJ. I know that we have some friends joining us from out of state today, so welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us today to discuss assessment in the presentational mode. And we have some fabulous presenters for you today. Hanying Yang, Liliana Lopez, Katie Young, and Nicole Naditz, and their contact information is in our presentation today, as are all of their slides. So we would highly recommend that you reach out to them in the chat, reach out to any of us during the chat if you have any questions. And if you don't have a Twitter account, this is a quick plug for creating a Twitter account. You don't have to be super active on Twitter to reap the many benefits. So highly recommend. Noemi has just shared out the link to today's slideshow in the chat, so feel free to go ahead and open that up in a separate window if you want to follow along and kind of explore some of the links as we go. Want to say a quick thank you to Noemi and to Alice Simonson, our FLENJ president, for setting up these tech chats. This has definitely been a labor of love and something that we really thought would be a gesture of goodwill as people kind of navigate the craziness of online teaching. That said, FLENJ is a nonprofit organization. We are a registered 501c3. So if you get something helpful out of today's chat and you are financially able, we would really appreciate a $5 or $10 donation to kind of help us keep the lights on and keep delivering quality content to you as we move forward into the next few months. Just a heads up for those of you who are looking for certificates, like PD testimony certificates, they will be available to you after you fill out the feedback form that you will receive via email after the end of today's chat. So you will get the link. Don't stress about that. It'll just be coming to you in an email after our chat ends today. Also, all of our tech chats are being recorded and put up on the FLENJ YouTube website. So go ahead and head over there, YouTube channel, not YouTube website. That doesn't even make sense, whatever. So feel free to head over there, click the subscribe button, and then pass on those videos to friends, colleagues, anyone you think would benefit from that information. We want to spread these far and wide so that everyone can kind of, gain access to all of this wealth of information that we have from our presenters today. So with all of that said, I am going to stop sharing my screen. And I am going to turn it over to Liliana Lopez, who is going to be our first presenter today. Take it away, Liliana.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen as well. Thank you so much to Alice, to Julia, to FLENJ for giving us the opportunity to share with you what we've been able to do in Fair Lawn schools. Let me know if I'm sharing here correctly.
I think it looks like Nicole is currently the presenter. So Nicole, if you wouldn't mind
I
unpresenting so
turned
that
mine
Liliana
off.
can
I
hop on.
wasn't even trying to share. I turned mine off and left it. I didn't ask to screen share. It said I was made the presenter.
All right, well, let me undo that for you really quick. All right, let's see here. Technology is so fun, isn't it? That's why we're all here, to learn about how fun technology really is. All right, let's see here. Okay, Liliana, let's see if that works for you.
Okay, let me try again.
Okay.
There we go. Let me know if you see my screen.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, great. Here we go. Okay. I'm really excited to share with you what we kind of went through as a school district as we transitions into online learning. My name is Liliana Lopez, and I am the World Language Supervisor in Fair Lawn Schools in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. Just to give you a little bit of context about what our World Language Program looks like, I wanted to share this slide with you. We are really proud of our elementary program where our students do receive World Language instruction K to 5. Our three languages are Spanish, French, and Chinese. And we had the opportunity also in middle school and high school where our students meet every day for a world language class. So I kind of wanted to give that context first before moving into what our transition looked like and what resources we use. And I'm really excited to share those resources with you and also be able to have you borrow, as we say in education, and feel free to use anything that is shared today. Our distance learning journey was a little bumpy, and it continues to be in regards to it wasn't, and I believe as many of all of you, it wasn't this smooth transition. So we really took weeks 1 and 2 uh, to assign for 6th through 12th grade or 6th through 8th grade to assign readers, which I'm forever grateful to Martina Bex and how she shared these wonderful resources. We were able to use them. Also, at the high school level, we were able to use Newsela, and we were able to also use, I can't think, Newsela and brain pop in Spanish. So we were able to use online resources. Weeks 3 and 4, then we transitioned to a choice board that I'll be sharing with you as well. And then weeks 5 and on, which we're just finishing up weeks 5, we completely changed our model and where teachers are only posting 2 new lessons a week. So I kind of wanted to give all that information before sharing all this with you. For weeks 1 through 4, we were able to create an elementary resource page. If you go here to elementary, you will see the link. It's actually linked for you, and you could go right into our resources that we use for Spanish, French, and Chinese. At that time, our program, we really, when we went online, this was an additional resource to parents, understanding that we needed to provide time to our parents to be able to move forward with this, with what this online distance learning plan looked like. So this was really meant to continue to expose their kids to world language during those weeks in the elementary world. For weeks 1 and 2 at the middle school and high school, I've also linked our middle school distance learning plan and our high school distance learning plan, where we separated by days. And we were so grateful now that we're in week 5. Now we're really just separated by subject, and I'll be able to talk a little bit. But I invite you to please click onto the middle school link and the high school link and to borrow what you feel would be great for your world language learning context, teaching, lessons. But remember, I gave you the context for what our program looks like because I know every program is so different in regards to your school, in regards to your district, in regards to your state. For weeks 1 and 2, embedded within our plan, you'll see it there as well. We were able to able to use the Martina Bex's choice board, which was amazing for Spanish. But at the high school level, we were able to create our type of choice board with the resources that we had. As I let you know, we use BrainPop and we use Newsella. So I invite you also to use to look at the high school choice board and to be able to just borrow and take advantage of what you can use here. So I just want to let you know that all of this is available to you in these red links. The other part that we also did when using our choice board is that if at that time we needed to maintain an assessment piece, and so what we did was we created a very quick rubric. So I just wanted to give you a picture and a link. It's at the bottom of the high school choice board. So just something that you could look at if you needed at this time to provide, to look at assessment, a quick rubric. For weeks 3 and 4, we went into a completely different place because we were really then transitioning to what it would look like beyond these first 2 weeks. We didn't know when we were going to go back to school, and Leslie Grand was amazing in sharing a choice board. I have the choice boards here linked as well. And what we did was we kind of Farallonized it. Definitely took some of her ideas, but kept it within our 3 languages. And then the expectation per language was different, which was really important for us. So this was a high school directions that you see here that it says, choose 1 box a day, make sure it's the best of your ability in your target language. And also, if the students were in levels 3, 4, and 5, they were expected to produce more language, which was really important than levels 1 and 2. So we wanted them to really show off their language skills, and we were able to put that in our choice board directions. And I invite you to use any of these ideas as well. It really depends on the expectations that you have for your students. And we really wanted those students in the higher levels to produce more. What was wonderful, that conversations with my teachers included having teachers let students know that they had to resubmit their work so that they would be able to show off more of what was expected. So here are some, so you have these choice boards available to you as well. Now that we started week 5 though, now we were really as a district saying, we want to get back to our curriculum. So we really took like this big pause, and now we're getting back to the curriculum. And we were able to have teachers work during common planning time. I'm sharing with you an example of an 8th grade unit of La Tecnología. And this was created, and I had a teacher in the district, Dana Simons, who took the lead in creating this online lessons, and she was able to collaborate with all of her grade level teachers and bring forward like these slides. So if you look into, if you click into the example, I hope, do you still see it? If you click into the link, are you able to see my screen?
Yep, we're good. We can see you.
Yeah, I'm able to share with you what it looked like specifically for our 8th grade students. So I just went into one unit, and you're able to modify here and use what you like. If you do not want that English column, you can take it out. You know, in our school district, we have a very large special education population, and for many students, we do need that English column, or you could just maintain the Spanish and the picture piece if you like. But I wanted to share these slides with you to show you how what these online tasks per lesson can look like. We do it through Google Slides. So we had day 1, which is lunes and Monday, and then day 3, which was Wednesday. So you would be able to also see, we try to incorporate authentic pictures and really have our students, to the best of their ability as we transition to this online piece, really stay connected to what our curriculum looks like now for 4th marking period, which is our technology unit in 8th grade. So let me go back to here we go, here in the presentation. And our journey thus far, I have to say, has been one that I would have to say we had to take these steps forward and now slowly take a bunch of steps back. And we are really happy with it, knowing now that it's kind of like it's okay to move slowly, or it's okay to move backwards. And I wanted to share that with everybody as we're looking to really think about what are these best practices with online learning. It really helped us out to be able to get to where we are right now, which is taking it slower than we were before. We were having students get 5 assignments per week, and now knowing that teachers are posting 2 lessons a week and teachers are really thinking about the connections with students, that's very, very important for us. And I've been able to share all these resources with you, so I really hope that you use them and borrow and recreate to what's best in your context with what you're teaching. So I'm really happy to do that.
Liliana, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I know that some of you are having some trouble accessing Liliana's section of the presentation. We will make sure that we get that available to you straight away. And if any of you missed the link, I believe that Noemi and Alice sent out the link to the overall presentation in the chat. So feel free to open that up and follow along if you haven't gotten a chance to do so already. And also one more plug, just to, if you're finding that you're coming in and out of the chat room, just mute your microphone when you come in so we don't get any feedback going on. All right, I believe that Katie is going to present next. Katie, am I correct?
Katie, I think you're muted.
Oh no, your microphone's on. We just can't hear you.
Oh no.
Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah. I just quickly wanted to really quickly share that Katie and Hanyang work in the district with me. I'm so lucky to be able to collaborate with them, and just really excited for them to also share what they're sharing today.
Yay. Oh, Katie, I'm so sorry. We can't hear you. Nope. Still nothing. Oh, wait, say something again. No.
I wonder if you might want to try using the built-in microphone for your device, because maybe your headset isn't working right now. Switching your audio device.
Hello?
Yeah, we're good. Yep.
Okay, volume's very, very low though. Because
we can hear you just fine.
Okay, good, because I kind of have a home office going. My sister is like doing her work on the side. Okay, so I wanted to talk about some tools that that we can use. We did a survey, first of all, that we sent out to everyone prior to doing this, and lots of you responded. And that's one of the first things I kind of want to talk about quickly. I guess I should share my screen now. Let me see if I can successfully do that. Share screen. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. There. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes, we are up and running.
All right, that's actually in my classroom. My computer's running super slow, so I'm sorry if it's very laggy. My computer is like 15 years old. So the first thing I actually want to mention is that we shared a link to a Pinterest that Hanyang and I made together. So it has a bunch of the links that that we're going to talk about some of these things. So you can, pop in there, join, follow. If you'd like to pin, you can also, we can open it up and you can pin as well. One of the first things is that we did a Google Forms, and Google Forms is one of the best tools that you can use for assessment, especially if you're using Classroom, because you can link it right in there, and it's just very quick. You can get a quick idea of what people, what students know. For example, one way is that you can create questions in response to a video. and they can answer those questions and return it to you. And actually, that's also a quick way of you knowing that the students actually kind of engaged that day for distance learning. So you can just do like 2 questions, you know, can you say the numbers 1 through 10? Can you name 5 colors from today's video that they watched? So you're seeing. Okay, so that is. I see that a lot of you wanted to talk about Meet, or a bunch of you want to talk about Meet. So are a lot of you using Meet right now with your students or with meetings? So the thing that I actually, now that I've started using Meet, is that I used to think that you could only do Google Meet and kind of start one immediately, kind of the way you see my screen now, and you create kind of your code. And for example, you can say today's class, create a class. So you can see I'm creating the class. It's very slow. And then I'll do join. What I actually didn't realize is that you can actually create a code now in Classroom. I think it's as of this morning. I'm going to go into my classroom. This is my grade 3 classroom that we just kind of uploaded today. So you can go down, and actually there's now a link that has the Google Meet, and you can generate a Meet link for your class. So for every class that you have a classroom for, you can create a meeting link. You can also go into your calendar and actually create a meeting prior to actually the time that you're actually meeting in advance. So if I want to create a meeting, so if I want to create a meeting on the okay, it's not actually working because my computer's so slow right now, I'm sorry. But you can actually create a meeting in advance of the time that you want to meet, kind of the way that it's popping up now. So you can include your guests. And if you're quick enough, it would actually show the classrooms that I have. So I have, you know, Chinese grade 8, grade 7, and I can actually add conferencing, and I can create a Google Meet meeting in advance, and we'll send out the link to your students, and they will get that in advance of the meeting. That's another one of the things I wanted to talk about. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to quickly talk about is creating word clouds, because we sent out that survey and kind of as a presentational tool. So I had two different things. If you want students to create something where they're presenting words that they're currently learning or phrases they're currently learning, there's a tool called wordclouds.com, and there's a link in the Pinterest that you can go to. It's very easy to use, and if you are a teacher of Chinese, one of the best things is that actually shows the tone marks, because for a lot of word cloud sites, it actually doesn't show those tone marks for pinging. So it's very simple to use. You can just you can open up the word list, and then you can actually just paste words in there from some pre-created list that you have, and it creates a really nice word cloud for you. And this can be used for kids to present what they've been learning. The other thing is you can have a collaborative word cloud. In the past, I've used this. You create a collaborative word cloud through Poll Everywhere. There's also, I believe, Mentimeter does it as well, but you can create a poll. You can go to word cloud as a setting and just create any title like leisure activities. And then you can create that. So your students can then go to the website And then if you are doing it in real time with them, they can create a word cloud right then and there about phrases that they're learning, things related to your current topic. My computer's very slow, it's taking a while. But it's one of the easiest to use kind of collaborative word cloud makers that I've seen. So all they have to do, make sure that you activate it, because I've done that before where I haven't activated. Make sure you activate it, and then you can have your students text using their phones, or they can just go to polev.com with your whatever your address is and go up there and create a whole word cloud of information that they can present to you. And that way you kind of know, what words have they been learning this week? Because when they're, across, when they're right in front of you, you can see them, but when they're kind of in front of the computer, you really do not know, what is it that they're really taking in. Okay, I wanted to share, I know that a few people wanted to know about new fun things. So one thing is going on a virtual tour. If you're doing something where students are talking about travel, and since they can't travel now, this is one of the best things that they can do is go onto Google. And excuse me, my computer is really super slow right now. One of my favorite things is this thing called This Is Home from Google. I don't know if any of you have used it yet, but you can actually explore different homes throughout the world. There are homes in China, there's a home in Japan, Korea, there's homes in Spain. So everywhere where you see these points, they can click in, they can go and visit the home of people who live there. So it's kind of experiencing travel without actually having to travel. The only thing I have to say is that this is very graphics intensive. So, for example, for me, with my computer being very, very slow and old, it takes a lot of time to do this. But students can definitely use this to kind of go in there, look at the houses, then they can talk about, they can record themselves talking about what do they see in the house, what is it that they're experiencing, what's in the house, who's living in the house, and it's a great way to present things that they're learning about travel and homes. And a very quick thing, although just something fun that I wanted to share is if anyone wants to add some kind of special small activity for their kids just for fun, Quick Draw with Google is a really, really fun thing. If anyone wants to share that with their kids, it's kind of different languages. You get a word of you get to choose. Something comes up, and then you draw whatever word you see. So it's just something fun and not necessarily presentational. So, but yeah. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today.
That is really cool. I really like the quick draw idea. I'm always looking for brain breaks from my students. So something like that would be really neat. Like push the link out to them and be like, just do this thing.
Yeah, so something all small I wanted to share because I think it's really fun. You can do it in different languages. That's the best part.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Katie. I love the This Is Home thing that you shared. It made me think of, I don't know if anyone has seen, there's a new Facebook group that just popped up called View from My Window, which people all over the world are sharing literally just pictures from of what they can see when they look out their windows. And I've been obsessively saving pictures to use in my next house and neighborhood unit, because there are some that are in the middle of the rainforest, and then there are some that are on a fjord, and they're it's really cool. So Katie, thank you so much for sharing those. I was scribbling notes the whole time. Oh, I'm so excited to use all of this. All right, Han Ying, you are up.
Hi, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so let me share my screen now. Hi, hello. So I'm just continuing on this Pinterest board. So Katie just talked about a few tools like Poll Everywhere and stuff. So I'm going to share some other tools on this Pinterest board. So going from presentational first, if you want to give a lesson, an input lesson to your students, I recommend this tool called Edpuzzle. So Edpuzzle is basically a video assessment tool. So usually our video is just a video, and then if you want to ask questions to students, you need to use another tool, or you need to just give students a worksheet. But Edpuzzle actually combines these two features together. So if you have a video, you can insert your questions or notes in the video. So when students see the video and until that point of the video, the question or note will pop up. And then you can track students' progress of how they're answering, how they're going with the lesson. So Edpuzzle is totally made for education. So you can not only just create one of your own, you can create a video or upload a video or just search from YouTube, search from some major educational websites and just use their videos like this, National Geographic, Khan Academy, and you can just click open it, and then you can just start editing and assign it to students. And if you're using Google Classrooms, you can import your Google Classroom to Edpuzzle and export your grades or their progress back to Google Classroom. So this is very convenient. And also, there's something else I want to mention about is that Edpuzzle has a community. So you can also find, for example, in your school and in the content area that some already made lessons from other teachers, and you can share yours too. So there are many things that you can just choose and use. So it's very convenient. So for example, let's just see one. You can see all these things are the notes. And if you want to, you can also disable skip. So students cannot just drag onto the video and finish it. They have to watch every second of the video and answer every single question. So that is Edpuzzle. And also, if you want to, it can also be used as a assessment tool because you can student project. You can assign student to create an Edpuzzle too. So it can be a very fun project to make. Okay, so the next tool is Padlet. I don't know how many of you have been using Padlet, but Padlet is actually a kind of like a bulletin board for students to share. And then they can post any form of media, picture, video, anything, and then they can comment on each other, like each other's work. And what's the difference between this Padlet sharing feature with Google is that with Google, if you share a thing with everyone, everyone can edit on it. But if you share a Padlet, everyone can only edit their own post. So you can't change any other people's, and you can make your settings to create multiple filters, teacher approval, things like that. So this is a very good presentational assessment for students to use, and also can be a teacher presentational tool as well. So it has many layout to choose from, and like a mind map or a regular post board or shelf, you can do categories, and also you can have a map to do some timeline to do something else. So Padlet is another tool. And another tool I want to talk about is GimKit. So do you have I believe many of you have heard about Kahoot, right? So Kahoot is this multiple choice kind of game-based learning. So GimKit is a little bit like that, but it's in a different way. So Kahoot is that you see everybody just on their device, they just have 4 choices, and everybody see the question on the screen. I know Kahoot has assignments too, but GameKit is different. One is that it's basically student-based. Okay, so this is a preview on the computer. So this is what students will see on their device once they given the code. So you can just, okay, so now you can continue. You can continue. Okay, now for each question you get right, you can earn game dollars. And then if you answered something wrong, you can view correct answers and continue. And when you get right things, you can buy bonus things just like a game like. So it's very fun for students to work with. And then the actual the activity result is not based on completely like Kahoot is all by accuracy and speed. This is based on the money you earned. And what I like more about it is that the teacher can set different things. So Kahoot is just you went through the set and that's one game. But Quizlet, even if you just have 12 words, you can make the students to go over and over again by just setting 10 minutes. So students have to go through 10 minutes with whatever times they go through these 12 questions, or you can set a target amount of money, for example, $5,000 so students have to work through to get that top amount of money. So it's very engaging for students. And besides multiple choice, it can also be doing text input. So instead of choices, they will be doing enter text. So I used it for Chinese to let them to practice typing characters, to recognize the character and type their characters. I believe for like Spanish and French, you can use like fill in blanks with conjugations and stuff. So I think this is a very good tool to use as a vocab or grammar kind of practice. So and also on a website that I would like to share is that Edutopia is actually doing a lot of articles on distance learning strategies. So I think it's worthy to check it out. That's the tools I'm sharing. Thank you.
Awesome, Hanying. Thank you so much. People have been asking in the chat if GimKit is the one that had like the humans versus zombies. I remember that, but I never got the chance to actually try it out. But I certainly saw a lot about it on teacher social media. So apparently it was super popular.
Yeah.
All right. So our last presenter today is going to be Ms. Nicole Naditz. Are you ready?
I am. It looks like someone else might be sharing their screen still, but I'm going to try sharing anyway.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. It's not seeing my, let's see what you see. Give me a second here because it's acting like it's not showing my presentation. Oh, there it is. Perfect.
Oh, we're
All right.
up.
We're up and running. Okay, so we're going to be talking a little bit about presentational mode. I'm going to see if I can minimize all this stuff because it's, there we go. Presentational mode. My name is Nicole Naditz. I am the program specialist for world languages and instructional technology for a school district near Sacramento, California. And as you can imagine, my life got incredibly busy when we went to distance learning with the instructional technology part of my title, as well as world languages. So we are all pretty familiar with the presentational mode. The idea that it's centered on an authentic context, the task that the learners do is centered around an authentic context. Delivery of the message is what's most important, while still maintaining an awareness of who your audience is, and so that you deliver a message that will resonate with that particular audience. And one of the goals includes maintaining the audience attention. So designing whatever it is you're going to say or sign or write or record and present, you're going to do so in a way that maintains their attention. And it is though non-negotiated, meaning if your students are doing a presentational task, they don't get to check with their audience to make sure it's going okay and that their audience understands. They prepare their presentation, they deliver it, and there's no immediate interaction, like two-way conversation. It's different from the other modes because it is rehearsed and practiced and edited and polished. They can work on it, submit drafts to you, get feedback, improve it, refine it, practice it, make it perfect. And in the end, by the time they're done with all of that, and they've gone through a couple of rounds of feedback and peer editing or whatever they're doing, ultimately the product they turn in or submit to you as an assessment in the presentational mode should actually be somewhere around meeting standards or exceeding standards because of the fact that they're able to take the time to really review and polish their work. Now, for distance learning, there are a couple of things to keep in mind with that. This presentational mode actually has both some interesting opportunities in distance learning and some new challenges that happen as a result of distance learning. So one of the opportunities is that there are many tools available that are suited for this mode. And this slide deck that I shared with you, and I noticed several of you are already on it, so good job, actually links out to numerous other slide decks. Those of you who dug into it a little bit will see that there's no way I am giving a demo of every tool on here. It's really important to be strategically selective when choosing technology tools to use with your learners so that you pick the right tool for the right purpose, and that really helps get the job done in a way that no other tool could. But you'll see that I have provided some suggestions for some tools that might be helpful to you. Another opportunity is that as teachers, because we've had to shift into this new digital learning space, or at least it's new for most of us, we are becoming accustomed to how to provide feedback in these digital spaces so that we can be prepared to give our learners feedback in their early draft stages of their presentational mode. One of the big kind of, I don't know, it's a risk or it's kind of a challenge that we face as teachers, and at least I remember this from my own teaching, is suddenly I became aware of the fact that I would give students opportunities to practice their listening and their interpretive skills in listening and their interpretive skills in reading, and they'd have an assessment on those and they'd had some practice. And then I'd give them, they'd have opportunities to practice interpersonal speaking and get some feedback from peers or from myself to know that they were doing okay, and they'd have an assessment. And yet somehow it became obvious to me, at least, that sometimes their presentational tasks, the only time they ever did anything like that task was at the moment of that summative assessment for, at which point they were going to be assessed for their writing, for their speaking, or for their signing if they are ASL instructors. And so one of the nice things is, as educators, we're becoming more accustomed with the ways in which we can use whatever tools our district and schools are providing to us for a learning management platform to provide feedback to our learners so that we can give them opportunities to practice the presentational mode before they actually present the presentational mode. Digital formats, which is what we are pretty much left with at this moment in time, really easily simulate authentic contexts. It feels for students, at least somewhat often, like they are doing a real task that people who use language do anyway outside of a classroom. So these digital environments give us that opportunity to provide them opportunities to do the same things that native speakers of their language might also be doing. Some of the challenges are that students' access is not equitable. So some students have a robust array of tools available at home to choose from in order to work on, design, create, and share these tasks, and some do not. And teachers don't have very much control. They don't have control over when students are able to work on things, or even whether each student really does have consistent access to a device, to high quality, high speed internet, and the time and space to work on them. And those are challenges that are always true, but they become exacerbated in a distance learning scenario because we aren't even able to control at least let's say you're in a classroom with them for 50 minutes a day, we at least could control that environment and we knew they had the resources and the time and the space. Now we don't have that. So that does pose a challenge. Plagiarism can be even more prevalent, right? Because it's very difficult to design a task in such a way where they're not just going to go Google what they need. And so that's something we continuously have to be on the lookout for, but also just something that we're trying to build with our learners is that understanding of why it's important not to do that, what some of the pitfalls are of trying to use those tools rather than using the skills you have and the cultural knowledge you have. And that's what I talked to my students a lot about. Was that, for example, we can always spot it when students use Google Translate, right? And one of the things oops, make sure we just got a bit of echo there. When they use Google Translate, and I explained to them, I'm not trying to take away tools from you. The fact of the matter is, in order to even maybe possibly successfully use Google Translate as a tool, you actually have to be very proficient in that language yourself. Because at the level at which you are communicating as a novice, mid, or intermediate low speaker of the language, you simply don't have enough experience and cultural knowledge and language knowledge to be able to tell when tools like Google Translate have gone astray and led you down the wrong path. But in any case, do know that obviously plagiarism can be more prevalent, and it's a little bit harder to prevent when students are constantly away from us. So we're going to look at a couple of tools that maybe you have heard of or maybe you have not heard of that we can use for presentational writing and then also for presentational speaking and signing. Adobe as a company, they're the same people who make PDF, for example, has a whole creative suite. Adobe Spark is available for free to education. You may have to work with your district's technology services to get it set up because it has to be set up district-wide, but it is available for free for education in terms of the full version without the little Adobe Spark watermark on it and without the limitations to templates and so on. Adobe Spark actually has 3 components: Adobe Spark Post, Adobe Spark Page, and Adobe Spark Video. So Adobe Spark Post and Adobe Spark Page are particularly well suited to presentational writing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over to a slide deck. So you'll see that this is going to then send you to another slide deck. And I'm going to hop down a bit. And this slide deck gives you information, screenshots, and links to get started. So if you look at this screen, the thing that's awesome about Adobe Spark Post is it's great for the novice speaker of language. The emphasis is on layout, design, images, and just a few words. So whatever your topic is, they can find a template that they can use to use a few words to do that topic, to create a post that they can very easily then share with you for feedback. I do show you how to get, sorry, this is also for my school district. You're not going to sign in with a San Juan Unified School District email, but you do, once your tech services set you up, you would sign in with your district email. I have some sample posts. This is a clickable, I think this is a clickable one actually. So they actually had some posts about like influential women, for example, that were created. And this is a simple sentence, but a student could make something similar. Oops. I want to see if this links out to others, but I can't remember if it does now. Yeah. And so that image will link you out to a blog that shows you more images like that one. Okay. And then, hold on, as you go through that slide deck, it actually gives you kind of some screenshots to help you get started. And so on, so that you could hopefully learn at your own pace if you're interested in trying this. But you can kind of see how, like, I started with this template that was about milkshakes, and then by using the editing tools, I actually completely changed it. So I'm changing the word milkshake and new tools, and there's a little video of me doing it in real time for you. This is how this shows you a screenshot of how you share. And then I also thought it was fascinating that they have some Instagram story templates. So a lot of students are on Instagram, so this will really speak to them. And they also have a blog post about student created infographics. This could be a really powerful way for them to share information after having studied a nonfiction topic and informational texts on a topic. They would then create their own infographics in order to demonstrate their knowledge of the topic. And that would be harder. It's not something you can just Google the answers to per se, right? I mean, they can look up words. I used to tell my students they could look up wordreference.com, for example, but they could create these simple infographics based on a topic using something like Adobe Spark Post. And then there's a little bit of some information here on how to do that. So this slide deck linked within my slide deck will get you to will get you to all that information on Adobe Spark post. That same slide deck includes information for Adobe Spark page, which is a single page website. So I'm going to head on to slide, I believe it's approximately slide 23. That's video. We'll go back to video in a minute. And so it creates a very simple, non-techie way to build a single page website. So this is for your learners who are more proficient and who have a lot more to say and a lot more to write. And so they can actually create a single page website that they can just share with you with a link to then include all of their content in one website. And again, kind of replicating real world work and experiences of people who speak these languages. Let's go back into this one. For presentational speaking and signing, many of us have heard of Flipgrid and Seesaw, but if you haven't, Flipgrid is an amazing tool. I'm going to see if this will let me drag my toolbar out of the way. Oh, it doesn't. My tools are in the way. Shoot. Let me try that. No. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to see if I can get to my tabs. I think that one's Flipgrid. Flipgrid provides literally a grid. That grid will be full of videos of your students speaking. And so this one is an example of a grid I did with students where they had a pen pal in France and they sent her questions about her experience in this European Union study abroad program. And she actually sent back answers to each of them, but they could just post videos for you. You can make them visible to the other students in your class or not. It just depends on what you'd like to do with it. You can also provide feedback to them by typing or by recording your own video so that you can give them feedback. With Adobe Spark, they end up having to share it with you ahead of time, and then you'll have to just give them feedback in another way. So if you make it an assignment, you might be able to use the comments in the assignment feature in Google Classroom. It doesn't have a built-in feedback feature. Flipgrid does have a built-in feedback feature. They have several really interesting uses of Flipgrid, including a pen pal program called Grid Pals, and so on. So this link here takes you to a slide deck that is all about Flipgrid to help you get started. One of the tools I'm surprised that more language teachers haven't heard of, but a lot have, is called Seesaw. Seesaw was sorry, I'm trying to get to my tools. Seesaw. I hope that's Seesaw. It is. Seesaw was actually originally marketed as a learning journal, and it was marketed to elementary grades. The nice thing about that is that it means it is set up to be able to be successfully used by a young child. It is a way where you can push content out to students, whether it's something you type, draw, record on audio, record on video, images, web pages, and more. And your students can send you back things that they are working on. They can take a picture of their work and drop it into their folder in Seesaw. They can take a picture of their work, click on the microphone and talk over it while they, before they submit it to you. They can record video, as you can see here. They can share, or they can share web links. So it is a journal, and each person in the journal has their own little folder. And I link you out to a slide deck that shows you a lot more about how this actually gets started in terms of creating your account, and also kind of what the editing interface looks like. So you notice you can actually put in a picture, type on the picture, draw on the picture. Most of the time, the students are going to share a photo back with you or a video. So they click on photo, they grab the photo from their camera roll, and they get these editing tools. They can type, they can audio record, they can add a picture, they can click on the 3 dots to add shapes or background. They can add a voice caption. They can change the color, use the drawing tools down here in order to add all kinds of things to that picture if they want to. Then when they're done, they tap the green check mark. They find their name in the list. They tap the check mark again. And the item is added after teacher approval if you have it set up to where students can see each other's work. You can also turn that off. The slide deck includes a whole bunch of help to help you get started, some time-saving tips, and because it's designed to allow them to share virtually anything, if they've created work in any other platform that has a link, they can put that link in Seesaw and give it back to you just like they could in Google Classroom. Whew. All right. In my last couple of minutes, there's 2 more little tools I want to talk about. One is Extempore, and they do have a fairly limited free version. However, the nice thing about Okay, sorry, I'm trying to see if I have it open. Nope, apparently I don't have it open. Awesome. Extempore is a tool that allows your students to have practice. They could do writing actually, but they could also do speaking or signing because they can record audio or video and submit that to you. And when you set it up, you'll notice it says click the image. So this slide deck, this image is clickable if you need to get to the place to sign up for your account. And this explains what your free account includes. You start by creating a class. Once you've created the class, you can share that link with your students so that they can be in the class. Then you click the plus to create an assessment. When you create the assessment, it's always called assessment. So tell your students not to freak out if it's a practice activity, it's still going to be called assessment. Make an individual one, for example, decide if they will respond by video, audio, or text. Click show all parameters, and that pulls down some really interesting features, like if you do a numeric score, you can build a rubric, or you can also put in, is there a time limit for them to listen to your prompt? Because you can record a prompt, such as the ones from the AP exam. Do they have a time limit to listen to it? Do they have a time limit to respond? So whether it is the presentational speaking portion of the exam or it's the simulated conversation, you can make sure you give them only 15 seconds to respond and then they're done. And then do you let them re-record it? Yes or no, depending on what your needs are. Okay, if you want to do a rubric, I just showed you a little bit about what it looks like when you develop your criterion and add your descriptors and have the points and so on. Go ahead and add your questions. If you don't want them to read the question, don't type the question, because you can add an audio or video file or a file from your computer. Make sure you allow your microphone, of course. And they have grab and go activities for free, but only for English, Spanish, and French. I'm sorry. But they do, even with the free version of the account, you do have some grab and go assessments that you can use in your classes. And while the extempore portion might be more suited towards interpersonal speaking for that simulated part, you could just extend the time limit and make it closer to the presentational speaking. Adobe Spark Video, I'm going to bring us back to our Adobe slide deck here. Adobe Spark Video is part of that Adobe Spark template area that I showed you earlier. And it actually makes videos where your students can combine images, a video file, background music, and their own voice and text. So this can be great for presentational speaking and even a little bit presentational writing and speaking, depending on if you have them add text to their videos. I would just recommend you remind them that they should not put on text that is just everything they're planning to say, because that would not be presentational speaking. That's just reading out loud. So I walked you through in the slide deck kind of how you're going to build your videos, and hopefully that resource will be helpful to you. And I think I will end there because I'm pretty much at the 1 o'clock mark.
Oh, Nicole, so much amazing information. Thank you so much. Is there anyone in the chat who has questions that you would like to unmute yourself or type a question in the chat? I know that I want to be mindful of people's time because we are getting awfully close to that hour mark. But if there's anything that we can answer for you quickly, we'd be happy to do so. Maybe?
Yes, hi. I have
Nope.
a quick question. Do you guys by any chance have already made rubrics, like quick ones that I can include or upload for my students to return as they turn in work?
What do you mean by return?
Well, right now we're using this thing called Schoology, in which they are submitting the work in there. So like I post work and then they submit their responses. I want to be able to like grade rubrics as well for them to return to me, so that way it's quicker for me to grade.
So what kind of work are we talking about?
For
That they're submitting to you?
For instance, if I give them a presentation on speaking and they have to respond in a video form, instead of me using, for example, the AP rubric, which is very long, is there anything already made that simplify that? No, am I being clear?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to think. so what I have done in the past is I've taken my favorite rubrics to use are called the PALS rubrics. They came out of Prince William County in Virginia or something, but I made them into like an Excel spreadsheet or a Google form that I could just kind of listen to my students talk and then, click all of the boxes and then kind of send that out to them. So I made a digital form that I could just push out, if that makes sense. Oh, Nicole's she has to go back to work, so she's gonna hop out. Thank you so much for being with us, Nicole.
Thank you so much, everybody. You've all been awesome. And thank you to the other presenters. Your stuff was amazing.
Yay. I don't know, Noemi, do you know of any like rubrics that are I can think of I know that 1-point rubrics exist. And you should be able to Google like single point rubric world language.
I think it depends on what it is that you're looking for, right? So with the task or with the work that you're assigning. So if you're looking for fluency, if you're looking for understanding, or you're looking for that'll shape your categories. But rubric design is really difficult. We've used both the ACTFL and the FLENJ rubrics in our district to model from, and then we've grabbed ideas from those to create our own. And certain teachers have digitized them within the Canvas learning management system that we use in our district. But I feel like rubric design has to match what the task expectations are. So you build your rubric based on what you want your students to be able to do well and with success. And you can certainly use rubrics without points and think about them with a growth mindset. And I've seen a lot of great stuff out there, especially with self-assessment in mind. So if a student submits something, how he or she may feel about that submission is also helpful. But just some ideas.
Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question, but
No, it did. I was just hoping to think of some way to already have it uploaded in the computer. So when I'm listening to the presentation, I can basically go and start clicking at numbers.
Right. Yeah, the best thing that I can say is take a rubric that you already like and turn it into like an Excel spreadsheet or a quick Google form that you can then push the results out to students and then also save them all in the same place.
And Flipgrid does have that as well. It has already, you can add your own rubric right within it. I think Nicole mentioned that briefly.
Okay.
Amarfi,
Yes.
you can take the Word document and just highlight the boxes in color as you listen to the person speak.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. If there is anything that we missed in the chat, feel free to send a response to the follow-up email or reach out to any of our presenters on Twitter. And we are a couple minutes past the hour, so we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us today. Look for the follow-up email. We will send that out to you this afternoon with the feedback form. We would be grateful if you would fill that out. And if you are looking for the PD certificate, it will be available to you once you filled out the feedback form. All right, a big thank you to our presenters for today. We really appreciate you sharing your time and expertise with us, and thank you to everyone who participated. Have a wonderful day, everybody.